Boy, how many times do I get to reshoot this same video? Sorry, hi, dogs, cats, interruptions, children, refrigerators, explosions, what else is... Anyway, so take 14. Okay, I've been hit up by another person from work who knows us and is familiar with our channel. Kind of says, how do we start? What do we start doing with prepping? So, I'm going to go back to the beginning and do a step-by-step on what my opinion is, our opinion is, on the most efficient way to start getting your affairs in order. And by affairs I mean your food, your water, your supplies, so that you can take care of your own family if something bad is to happen. So there's a methodology to this, okay? And the reasoning behind it is the human body can survive a few minutes without air, a few days without water, a few weeks without food, and shelter is kind of a varying depending upon your climate, conditions, time of year, etc., etc. So that's the 4 things that we're going to prepare for and make sure that we're covered on, okay? Step 1, with water, okay? Water is easy. Water is inexpensive. Water picks up at the store for not much money at all, not much difficulty. If you go in when you go get your groceries for the week, then just pick up an extra bunch of water. Okay, the drinking water is the most important part of that. There's also a little bit of hygiene water. We'll cover that later. So, bottled water, easy. $7 I think is a case. It gives you about 3.5 gallons. 2 of those in a week. No, back up. 1 of those in a week, $7. Done. Okay, you go put it in a closet somewhere and keep it from getting too hot. Don't let it get opened, etc., etc. And it should be good. It should remain good water for you. I've had one in the back of a vehicle. I got to 140 degrees in that truck in the heat of summer. Go back in the fall, pop it. It still tastes okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. So bottles, little bottles, easy. Also, they travel a lot easier than some of this other stuff. So from there, I would say get a couple, 3 cases of those so you have some drinking water for a short-term emergency. After that, in your grocery runs still, bottled, I guess, big gallon cases of water. These at the local store, which is usually a little higher price than most, was 99 cents per gallon, okay? General rule of thumb is one person gets 1 gallon of water for 1 day, okay? Easy enough. So, however many people are in your house, and however long of an emergency you see as you can practically store for, okay? So if you're looking for, my general rule is a minimum of 72 hours. There's 4 people in our family, so 3 days, 4 people is 12 gallons of water. That's your short-term emergency fund, your 72-hour kit worth of water, okay? That water will should cover both drinking water and basic hygiene. You can rinse yourself off a little bit and then bathe, as needed. Okay, so step up if after that, and you're starting to go into a longer term problem. The power has been out now for a week and everything. 5-gallon containers at your local camping area of Walmart, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, whatever, your camping areas, they've got them, right? These things are, what are they, $3, $4, $5, $6, and then they take a little bit more work, because after that you need to bring them home. You need to research your appropriate amount of chemical sanitizer to put in them for storage use, and then you need to fill them up and tuck them away. These ones, in the square ones especially, are very good that they stack neatly, so you can get a bunch of them and get several, dozen gallons of water together. There's a caution here. This thing weighs 40 to 50 pounds when it's filled. Okay. Imagine if you're on the 5th floor apartment, you start stacking 500 gallons of water. You may have a problem where you go to open your closet and that you've stored this in, and there's a hole in the ground down to a few apartments down. So you do have a weight issue. If you are lucky enough to have a basement or a crawl space or a storage unit that's on the ground floor, you have a little bit better option with those. However, I would think if you were in a multi-story apartment up higher on the floor, you're in a bigger city, you don't really have a lot of room. So I would stick to these. And then it gets bigger from the 5 gallons. You've got 25 gallon, 55 gallon drums. Somebody at work told me about a 250 gallon plant that the big plastic cases that come in a cage. He was able to put potable water in that, and there's a caution on that. Again, look at your environment, because we get to 30 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit here. 250 gallons is probably not big enough to survive that for a very long time. It will freeze, and when water freezes, it expands about 10%. So he would bust out his cage. However, as I recall, he told me about using a waterbed heater to keep his from freezing. And that's all you need to do is keep it from freezing. So if you've got the room to put 1,500 gallon giant water tank outside the side of your house, that's awesome. By all means, do whatever. Don't freak out and do it in a panicked way. Sit down and strategize about this. I would say at least for a week. While the emotions are very high and the feeling of urgency is extremely high, believe me, we've been there. Pour all that energy and motivation into researching how to do this. Don't pour it into wasting your savings account on running out and getting several thousand gallons of water. It's just okay. Next, onto that. I'm going to put a caveat here because I'm not going to explain anything. I'm not going to give any details here, and I'm going to say that this is not even for advice purposes. Okay, this is for entertainment only, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, the next option is your chemical sanitizing agents for water purification. Now that is hoping that you have a source of water that is around you. If you have a park with a fountain in it, if you have a stream, a river, a canal, something around, you've got water, but it's not usually drinkable anymore, and so you need to find a sanitizing purification agent. Okay, iodine is good, chlorine is good, etc., etc. I am not necessarily a fan of bleach because it has an extremely short-lived duration. We ended up getting a bunch of chlorine from somebody else's storage. She had kept it for 10 years, and it was like salt water is all that it was. The chlorine had evaporated. The only thing that was left was sodium and water. It had all just changed, and there's a chemistry in that, and there's a reason why, and I didn't know until we had found that out. So unconventional places to get water in your home or your apartment, as long as you're not using a shared bathroom, in the most cramped of the largest cities, then you should have the ability to get these places. So the power goes out and water pressure gets lost pretty quickly. You have a couple of places if you are able to act fast enough. And the one that kind of has the least cringe factor as far as not seeming to be gross, I guess, the easiest one is out of your water heater. And you need to go down, and it should have a valve on the inlet where the water comes into the water heater, there should be a valve to be able to turn that off. If you don't turn that off, there's a potential that as everybody throughout your city uses the water up, the pressure drops, and now everything is on gravity. Well, water flows downhill. And so if you're able to act before that pressure runs out and turn off that water, then you have 30, 40, 50 gallons of water storage right there. The other place, and this one seems to have a little more ooh factor, but it should be perfectly clean, especially if you're on city water, is your toilet tank. Not the bowl. Stay out of the bowl. That is gross. But the tank of your toilet, again, back behind your toilet has a little valve that you can twist to the right, and it should shut the water pressure off. And that's usually between 1 and 5 gallons, depending on if you have a new or older toilet. So potentially, if you have a big water heater and a big tank, you could have 60 gallons of water available right there. Did I miss anything now? Yes, dear. I think you're dying to say something. Okay. So, water purification. We will get to this one in a later video. Like I said, I'm sorry I brought it up, but I just realized I don't have all my ducks in a row for that one. So chlorine and iodine are your most common water sanitizing agents. But other than that, yes, start with storage. Just buy a case of these, 2 of these. It's $2 to $7 usually at your grocery store, and easy enough. And so thanks for watching. Have a great day.